Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening. I don't know where you are at the moment, but I hope you're all well, you're all safe, and you're finding ways how to, deal with this tough situation. It's very, very difficult for everyone, and I just hope we can all stay together in this and help each other. And I think the internet and these live streams are one way to go. We can all connect more and share some stories, like almost like have a cup of tea or cup of celery juice, like together and have some tennis talk. I think it's always nice. And today I wanted to share some stories from my childhood and also junior times and also first time playing professional tournaments. So this is the topic I wanted to cover, and it's more like on the going into the positive side, like having some fun stories, good memories, and maybe it can bring some memories to you as well, and you can also share some stories with us. You're more than welcome. So thanks everyone for joining. I hope you are, okay and you're comfortable there. Get some like healthy drink. Hopefully not like some heavy alcohol, just go into the positive mindset. I think once you take care of your body, and you're staying active in these tough times, you find the ways to uh, do some exercises, workouts, and like give your body good nutrition. I think you're gonna also have good energy. So I think that's very important. So see who we have here. Georgie, Carl, what's up? Thanks for joining. Juan, Sebastian, what strategy can I use? My opponent is returning too far from the baseline. Carl, right now in Hong Kong, all the tennis clubs are closed, so I'm currently doing fitness on the beach and playing beach tennis. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. Sounds great. Uh, I don't think really you need to do much. You don't need to worry too much about not playing tennis for some time. I mean, once you get back, it's gonna take you a few days, couple of days, and you're back where you were before. So as long as you stay active. Good morning, Livia. Nihama. So, and then Juan asked about the returning when the opponent is staying far away. Well, obviously in that case, you don't really need to go for your super fast serves. It's not gonna really help much. You can try to create some angles on your serves, or you can even totally change the pace of the serve and hit slow serves, so you kind of put them on guard, like put them like to be a little bit more cautious of their position. So yeah. Hello, Jose, and you stay safe too, especially in Spain. I know the situation there is not the best, so make sure you're following all the rules and the advice from authorities. Hello, John. Hello for Atlanta. So I know it's evening there. Hope you're all well. So I would like to cover again some of my tennis stories. When I was a young player, a kid. So basically, I will start from the very beginning. Something that it kind of will always be in my memories. And that is the first tournament when I won the first trophy, and that was in the small town near my hometown. It's like half an hour away drive, and it's almost like a village, like I really don't know how many people live there. I don't want to wild guess, but just so you know, like approximately it's in like tens of thousands of people, so maybe 20-30,000 people living there. Maybe I'm terribly wrong. Maybe now it's even 50-60, but it's still like kind of small town. Especially I'm in Shanghai now. It's 30 million, so it's a very small town. and it was some like uh, a regional tournament under 12, and it was the first category I participated in because I started as I was 9.5 years old when I officially started training in the club. So I didn't start playing until I was maybe after 10 or around 11. So it was it was always super special for me, to go for this. Even the small tournaments, as I said, the regional tournament, there were I don't think there were like too many players participating. Still, maybe around 20, 25. It was not definitely full draw, 32. And I remember I reached the semifinals, which it was enough, to get a trophy. So when you're playing these tournaments, it's always at least the goal to reach the semifinals. Then you will, even if you lose there, you will get the third place trophy. And I remember that match I played against Ramush Martin. And I think in later years, he also really got to the high level. He moved to Slovenia, to a different country. I'm from Serbia, by the way. And I think he played very, very high level. I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, it was interesting. He was definitely like a huge favorite. Maybe he was the first seed there. And I remember I played great match. I think I even remember the score, something like 6-1, 7-5. I know one set I got very close, and it was a very, kind of satisfying feeling. Even in the semifinals, you already made your best result, and then you play a good match. So after that, I think we stayed there to watch the finals, and then there was a ceremony, and I got the third place trophy, and I remember it made me so happy. It was a very special day, and I still have the trophy back home. I knew it's gonna always be very special, and I even imagine in 10, 20 years times, this gonna be something unique and trophy that I should put in a special place. Of course, at that time you always dream about playing Grand Slams and winning these huge trophies, the biggest tournaments in the world. This didn't come to reality, but some other things happened, and I'm still very grateful and thankful for that. But more on that some other time. I just wanted to again thank you all for joining, and again the topic is a bit tennis stories from childhood. So you are also welcome to share one of your favorite moments, as a kid or as a junior. So I just started with my first trophy that I won. I think so that was under 12, and maybe I was 11 at that moment, something like this. And then definitely that first period, playing those regional tournaments under 12, and after that tournament, I started playing, with more confidence, and I started beating players that I was losing to before. I kind of started to catch up because I started a bit later than others. And I even remember in the next series of tournaments, they called it like it was in the format of satellites. That these were like the professional tournaments, maybe 20 years ago. So you have like three tournaments in a row, and then the best 16 players from those three, they participate in the Masters. I don't know if some of you are familiar with this, but anyways, they had a similar format. So there were three tournaments in different towns, all in the region around my city. For me, these were like Grand Slams. Like for me, it was every tournament was so special, and you always look around who are the players, and you're kind of getting to know them. And this is when I started playing again with more confidence, and I was playing better and better. And after those three tournaments, I even qualified for the Masters. And I remember at the Masters tournament, I again reached the semifinals. I don't remember all the matches, but in the semifinals, I believe I won against that player I lost in the first semifinals, the first trophy I won. So I believe I beat him. I beat Ramush Martin, and I think that was in Kula. It's it's a little bit bigger town, but it's still quite small. And there was some very nice complex of courts, and there was some swimming pool, a big one. It was like a dream for me, you know. And I reached the finals of the Masters. It was still regional categories, but for me it was again like a world championships. And I lost in the finals, and it was the player who I believe was not Serbian descent. Like I think he is from maybe Hungary. Don't want to say the name. I believe it was Robert, something like this. And it was like different level, but still, it was a great match. I think I managed to get like to play like close sets. Both, you know, I lost in 2 sets. I think it was close, but still, it felt like a dream. And then I remember getting this trophy, you know, the second place finalist, and yeah, that's definitely like the beginning of my career. How I started playing this early tournaments under 12, and then slowly, you know, I got in the next category under 14, and definitely I got much closer to the highest level in the country. You know, all the best players, and it was getting more and more interesting. But anyways, I want to see who else is here, and if you have any questions here. I live on an island in Hong Kong where only 15,000 people live. Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. From Greece, my man. I enjoy so much your videos. Stephans, keep going. You did an amazing job. Thanks so much, Dimitris. Appreciate it. Martin, who is the highest ranked player you have played? Official match, it was Croatian player Roko Karanušić. Roko Karanušić, that's the real name, full name. At that moment, he was around 300 ATP, but his highest ranking was number 88 in the world. And he was the second seed at that tournament. It was futures, main draw, first round. And I ended up winning the first set. He was getting so frustrated. He broke, I think, 1 or 2 rackets. One string broke. He had to borrow the racket for somebody else. And after I won the first set, he just retired. He didn't want to play. He quit. So this was another time when I won the ATP point. Ivan Magnus. I was a pro tennis player on ITF Challenger circuit. I got kicked off due to poor behavior. That's kind of sad, you know. I'm sorry for that. I know it's very tough, you know, to hold your emotions, especially when you're at that stage where you're giving everything, you're sacrificing so much, and then you're not really seeing some like results, or you're underperforming. It happened to me a lot, you know. You just it's tough to accept, you know, sometimes that it's just not going your way, in spite of the fact that you are like trying so hard and training and just not partying like your like school friends, or you just focus on tennis. I spent so many years like just focused on that, and then I had also my moments, you know, on the court where you lose it, like you lose the behavior, and it's just unfortunate. It's a very tough sport, you know, emotionally and obviously physically, mentally. So really understand all the guys out there, and every time they had some like bad moments, I can feel it. You know, it's not easy. Do you win against WT top in 3-set match? Yes, I believe I should. I believe so. I strongly believe. Very confident. Actually, I would be willing to play whoever is number one at the WTA, or any girl. And you know, if I'm physically okay, like not injured and in a decent shape, on average day, I believe I should beat any WTA player. This is, a little bit maybe sound like overconfident to say, but I think it's true. Basically, any player from ATP, and this is nothing to kind of like put the WTA or the women tennis down. It's just natural, The men's tennis, it's much faster. The balls is much heavier. Men are much more like physically stronger, quicker, faster. So it's kind of normal. And I think it was John McEnroe once. He said, no matter what's the ranking of the men, like anybody from ATP rankings with ATP rankings should be able to win against the number one WTA player at that moment. It's a little bit bold statement, but I kind of believe it's almost true, like always. Of course, it could be some matches there where the WTA player would win against some like lower ranked ATP, but in most cases, I think it's one-way traffic. Again, nothing to say against WTA tennis. It's still amazing. It has different uh, how to say characteristics and moments or beauties to watch. You watch these girls playing. For many people, it's nice just by eye to watch this, and also they produce some different tennis, different points. So I think it's still great. When it rains and you don't have access to indoor court, what do you do? What do you train? Thanks for the question. Yeah, obviously you cannot play tennis. You just you do some fitness or do some obviously tennis specific fitness. You can do shadow swings if you have some space indoors. You can do some visualization where you actually try to imagine how you're training, or you imagine the match, or you simply work on your mental stability, mental strength. You can do some research, read some books, write some notes, make some strategy or tactics for your next match play. It's just many things you can do off the court. I need to know how to hit the ball fast and keep it in the court. It's not so easy to answer. Like in general, I would say you just have to play more. You have to spend more time on court. This is the most common mistake for beginners or for club level players who are so excited to play, and their goal is to hit harder, like as hard as they can, and they hope they can make it in the court. It really takes a lot of time. I think tennis is very specific. It's much more technical than some other sports, even compared to soccer or basketball. I think it makes sense because you don't have direct contact with the ball with your hands. You have a racket in your hand, and then there is a contact. Whereas with basketball, it's directly with the ball. Soccer, okay, you have your shoes on, but it's still direct contact with your legs, with your feet. So it's much more difficult, takes much more time, longer. It's kind of a long-term process, and you have to really commit. You have to have patience. So it's very specific. But the right way to do that, to hit fast and keep it in the court, is obviously to give the ball a certain amount of spin. Doesn't even have to be like a typical top spin that everybody thinks of, but you need to produce some rotation on the ball, and your swing has to be mechanically correct, and your timing, I think, even more important, the timing of your swing and how you use your body. So there are many elements. It cannot be put in a like very simple way, but in general, I would say you have to play more. Obviously, I would say the way you phrased the question is you're probably like beginner, or you're not really playing for like a couple of years, so it takes time. Why don't you do any table tennis tutorials? Because I'm not table tennis expert. It's very simple. Patrick, how do you prevent double faults during a tennis match? I'm 5'4" and I always have trouble. 54, trouble with the second serve, and I have to serve like a little kid. I understand this. Well, the serve is the only shot that doesn't really, it should not depend on your opponent. It's all up to you. You control it, and it's something that you can practice on your own. You don't need a partner. So definitely, I would recommend you spend time on your serve, and of course, knowing what you need to work on, knowing the fundamentals, and having the right approach how to practice. I would recommend 2 3 times a week for at least half an hour to 45 minutes. And obviously, you can start with second serves. You want to make sure that you can serve very consistent, confident second serves without slowing down. So that's the goal. So your second serve, you should not slow down your racket speed. It should be basically as fast as you can, in order to produce top spin or slice. So make sure you add a lot of rotation for your second serves, and don't slow down the racket speed. Will you play on the Pro Tours anytime soon? Yeah, I hope so. I hope after all this is kind of over, and the ATP restarts the calendar, and the tournaments start like opening slowly. I hope I will find time and opportunity to play, because I really miss it. And thanks for questions. How do a player see the court differently when playing with one hand backhand? Wow, that's an interesting way to put it. Seeing the court differently. Hmm. Never thought of it that way. But for me, the biggest difference is the reach and the kind of natural feeling of the swing. Definitely one-hander, you have more reach, so you can reach some further balls, unless you're Djokovic or some of these guys who can like slide and play the open stance two-handed backhand. But with one-hander, if not, then probably it's slice. But with one-hander, you can even reach that with top spin. And as I said, it's like having more natural swing on the one-hander. I would think I didn't play one-hander. I tried for a couple of days, but it cannot really count. I would believe that with one-hander, you're able to kind of create more angles. You can see that like Wawrinka or some of these guys, they can hit this amazing like cross courts backhands with breaking the sidelines. Whereas with two-hander, it kind of feels it's not so natural to do that. With two-hander, it's more like going for those like deep, like flatter shots and ripping that down the line. Uh, but seeing the court, maybe if you ask it this way, I would say with one-hander, maybe you can create more angles and get more reach. But it's an interesting way to think, and interesting topic. You're welcome. Okay, where are you living now? I'm in Shanghai, China. The spin help? Yes, definitely. It helps for many reasons. You can create different shots, different angles, different speed on the ball, and make your opponent feel uncomfortable, which is the main goal. You want to kind of play the way that it can interrupt your opponent's game, right? That's the goal. Do you have any tennis superstitious? Anything that you always do before matches? Interesting question. Mm, yeah, it's definitely a certain way of doing the warm up, which is off the court. I do always certain exercises in the same order, and I like to listen to music. I have a couple of songs I like to listen before. This obviously changes by time, but it's always a certain set of songs that I like to hear before the match. And I try to do some visualization. And from the last few matches, which were already like more than a year or like almost a year ago, I kind of try to think, prior to the match, like getting more excited, and I want to think in the way I'm going there to have fun. So I'm trying to have that image of me there and just enjoying and playing around, having fun, and literally coming up with shots that I really feel for, not feeling the pressure. So I kind of try to imagine that before the match. I think this is very important. It can help. What is your favorite ATP tournament? It will be Roland Garros for sure. I grew up on clay courts, and it's been always like a dream, to go to this tournament. If not to play, then at least to watch. And I hope one day I will go there. It will be amazing to be a hitting partner at the Roland Garros, but we'll see. Everybody have the same skills, but what makes Roger different from others? I think it was Mark Safin who said, like maybe a year or 2 years ago, not so long time ago, he said how tennis became boring. Everybody plays exactly the same game except Roger, who is the only player who is different on court. I wouldn't agree, but compared to the others, like the top players, it is kind of predictable. Baseline, solid players, counter punchers. Whereas Roger, he likes to mix it up. He uses a slice. He comes to the net. He does serves and volleys much more often than others, and it's definitely more like maybe exciting to watch. And he's so elegant there. Definitely has tons of talent, and he's so like gracious and moves effortlessly and plays effortlessly. So I think it's all combined. Like he's super talented, and he sees the game in a little bit different way. He dares to change, and he has this wild return off the bounce. When he steps in the court, he's the one who kind of started playing that. At least I don't know other players. I know that Kyrgios tried to imitate him, and he did it pretty well on some occasions. But again, he's not the only one who's like playing differently. Again, Kyrgios is a great example. Of course, he goes sometimes to extremes, and we have Tsitsipas now. He also likes to mix it up. He likes to come to the net. And some of these newer players, new generations, I'm impressed. Some of them are playing some amazing tennis, and it's very interesting to see how tennis evolves by time. Two tournament I went to see when I was 2014 ATP finals and watch Burdick practice, and I got his hat. That's cool. Nice experience. So I wanted to talk about tennis topics, my stories. Wanted to mention some like great memories, especially in this time when it's a little bit tough.